Which album should get the box set treatment next? Hi everybody, it's me, AC, and the place to be, and I've got a new video for you. Okay, this will be my second to last video of the year. This is just mostly about box sets and a little shopping expedition I did recently. Before we get to those box sets though, I want to talk about my little shopping trip I had last Sunday. Now the thing with New Zealand is that we have a very limited market for Prince collectibles, full stop. I mean, like I've said in many videos, Prince never really became the massive phenomenon here that he did overseas, but still, I mean, his concerts in 2016 were sold out, but I'm sure if he did, like, say, 50,000 venue like Mount Smart Arena, it probably wouldn't have sold out. But basically what it means is that I was extremely lucky to find Prince's autobiography in Wickholes a month ago, and I haven't seen it back there since, although I have seen one ad in the paper that one of our cheaper retailers, Warehouse, which is Kiwi Walmart, is selling it for $44, which annoys me, but I've been there and I since haven't been able to find a copy of it, so it could just be bait advertising. But anyway, I've just about read this book. I'm going to do a review of it probably early in the new year. I mean, generally I like it, but I think, like what one other person said, there is an awful lot of padding in this, but it's still good to read Prince's words, and I like the authenticity, but there will be a bigger review of that later. But more importantly, what I bought was Morris Day's book, and I looked around for this thing in all the bookshops. I mean, all the chain bookstores we have, which are really basically closing down now because we've got e-books and generally people are just illiterate, basically. But I did manage to find it in a place called Real Groovy, which is like the big specialist record store in New Zealand. I buy a lot of stuff from them, but generally I'm not that keen on them. I find their services a bit effusive. Everyone in there looks like they've walked off the set of some alternative punk group of the 1970s, and they generally don't see, Prince fans as really their core demographic. They're more sort of after the people who are into extreme hip hop and, punk bands like, I don't know, Surfer Rosa and Sufjan Stevens type stuff, all the sort of hippie, esoterical douchebag types. I mean, it is a place where you'll see a 16-year-old hipster with a Crossley record player around their, waist, and they're putting records on it and that type of stuff. But the only good thing about Real Groovy is that they have stuff you won't find anywhere else in New Zealand, and but of course, it's a captive market. I mean, I just about jumped up when I saw this. I couldn't believe they had it, but I knew the only place in New Zealand that would have it would be Real Groovy. So I bought it, and it's a nice hardcover copy with a nice quality dust jacket on it. Also, the paper's quite interesting too. You can see little bits in it. It's actually sort of type of recycled but fine paper. I've just started reading it. I will say I really love it. It's funny. Basically, I'm not going to tell you too much about this book because I really think that it's like with Mighty and Sheila E. You really need to read it yourself if you want to really get into it. But Morris is a hoot. I mean, the funniest part about this book is that he does have kind of Prince talking to him through the whole book. Well, of course, it's his interpretation of Prince. It's not really Prince, but he claims that Prince is always following him around. He doesn't believe in ghosts and shit. And it's actually, judging by the comments the Prince makes, he does make me laugh. Like the first chapter, I'll just read some bits out of it where Prince is talking to his ass. Like here it is. What I'll do is just a bit of reading out for you, and I apologise if this is breaking copyrights, but it's just a couple of pages. But basically what happens is Prince asks some questions, and he's written it in italics, basically. And then Morris responds in a sort of jivey patter, so it goes like, Prince goes, "How long do you intend to go on with this childhood thing? When are you going to calm your nervous ass down? Just chill. Get to the hook. It's not like writing a song. Besides, you ain't writing this book. There's no book without me. You said that shit before. Ignore me at your risk. Ignore me and you lose your readers. Not ignoring anybody, especially not you. How many years? You're not that many years past Minneapolis before I met you. Well, actually, I heard you before I met you. And what did you hear? A crazy talented guitarist. Talk about it. I'll talk about it in a minute. Talk about it now. You're a controlling fool. I'm a hit maker. You want to make this book a hit? Well, hit him with a guitar lick. That type of thing. So really, really egotistical. But it is funny, though. And like he talks about here, saying, the only reason people are buying this book is because of me. You sell more that way. It's just funny, and I'm kind of like halfway through it, but you get the feeling that Prince is talking to him, and it actually really sounds like Prince talking to you. But he talks about joining Champagne. He talks about his early life, actually, which is actually quite sad. He grew up in another city. His mother and father were very young. His real father left, and basically his stepfather sounded like a complete bastard, basically. And he did quite well with Prince. One thing I will tell you, and I never even knew this until I read the book, that before the time was started up, basically Morris got a job working for Prince in 1979. He went over, basically it mentions that Morris brought For You. This is after, of course, Prince left Champagne and did his own solo thing. And then he really liked it, and then he decided he wanted to go work with Prince. And of course, he got a job working as Prince's videographer. So during the Rick James tour and the last shows of the Prince tour, Morris Day was basically starting to tape all the performances. You know how he talked about in 1999 Prince was taping his performances. And apparently Morris was really good, but apparently he also loved to play around on the drums, and he wrote some groove one day. And the groove became Party Up, and that's how the whole time started. So that's one other thing. And then he talks about his time as Morris Day. He's actually really honest. He talks about how he used his drugs. A third persona comes into the book when Prince isn't around, and that's a guy called MD. And MD is like this guy who keeps it real over Morris. There's quite some funny photos in here. The other thing you have to know about Morris Day is that he was a couple of years older, and I suspect that he was held back sometime at school. Because like here it says graduation class, 6th grade, mid-60s, and you can see very clearly class of 1970 when Morris Day was 14, and he was only in the 6th grade, which means that he was a year or 2 years behind. But that probably wouldn't be anything. It'd probably be because he was moving around a lot. I mentioned that, basically when his abusive stepfather became too much, the family fled from basically, I think it was somewhere in Illinois across to Minneapolis. But it's a really interesting book. I really recommend buying it. The only thing I didn't like about this book was it cost $56, which I think is very expensive. But at the same time, it's a one-of-a-kind book. And it kind of means that this year's been a real assault on my wallet, and I'm probably not going to be buying too many more books in the future. Because I know that Princess Friend is promoting Wally Safford's book, but I have to admit it's not that essential. If I see the Randy St. Nicholas book, I might just give that a glance over, and if it's just too many of the photos like the 21 Nights book, I might skip it, otherwise I might buy it, because I'm not really that so interested in Prince after the 80s in a lot of ways. I guess I am a bit of an 80s Prince fan, and it is mostly 90s stuff. And picturing Prince is definitely nowhere near as good as basically Alan Bolio's book Before the Rain. Now, the other thing I bought too was I managed to find 3 albums, and the good thing about Real Groovy is that they went for a mania of absolutely pricing everything into the sky after Prince died, and now that's died down, and basically some quality stuff came in the market. I've never ever even seen a copy of Apollonia 6's album, let alone actually having the right to actually buy one. This one's in remarkably good condition. It appears to be an American pressing, basically. Those who've never seen it before, the only problem is though is that the lyric sheet and mini poster aren't in there, but when you open it up you do actually get this you get to see all 3 members of the group basically. That's Apollonia. She does kind of look a bit like a more mature Vanity. And then of course you've got the record itself, which is just a standard basically Warner Brothers with a fancy written label. Again, that's credited to Apollonia 6, music by Sheila E, and produced by Apollonia 6 and the Star Company, which of course is Prince. Of course, in reality, the entire thing was written, produced, composed, arranged, and done by Prince. And the other thing I was really lucky to find, and this was really cheap, this only cost $8, was this family single, Screams of Passion. And that's really useful because I'm still got to do the family video as part of my classics series, so it'd be good to actually have this and the album for that. And again, it's a great single, it's in pretty good condition. This is what the label looks like. It's the same sort of pink label that you find with the album. It's 12-inch. Again, a bit of a wasted record though. As you can see, it's only a 4-minute version of Yes, which is kind of like a pre-Madhouse type musical. And then the Screams of Passion itself is only 6.5 minutes, and as you can see, it takes up only about 2/3 of the record. So I was really happy to get that. And of course, even the rarest thing I probably bought that day was this Girl 6 vinyl single. Now, for all intents and purposes, this appears to be original. This was definitely released at a time when vinyl was practically all but finished. And it's a very strange single because it was promoting the movie Girl 6. So on one side you've actually got the Girl 6 song, which is actually credited to the Power generation. But you got Prince singing all the way through it, Girl 6, she came all the way from the ghetto, that type of one. And on the back is actually Nasty Girl, Vanity 6, an album version, which is really interesting, and both of them play really well. And it's in pretty good condition considering it's 23 years old. And again, generic Warner's sleeve. By this time, this was actually released through not through Warner's, not through MPG Records. And it's a promotional single, so that means anytime Warner's could come back and demand it back, basically. Hopefully they won't. The other thing I bought too now, Prince's friend talked about this a while ago. These are called Funko Pops. These are these plastic figurines that people get of like Star Wars and action heroes. They did 3 Prince ones. The rare one apparently is Purple Rain. I haven't got that, but I've got the other 2, which is Around the World in a Day and Third Eye Girl. Now I don't know what to do with these things. To be honest, I really want to keep them in their boxes actually, but I know some people take them out of their boxes, but I might keep them in the boxes because I'd rather just sit around collecting dust. Again, they weren't cheap, but I just thought they were quite cute and quite funny, and they definitely had a bit of personality to the collection. So from now on, they'll be sitting right here behind you in my videos. So that's the other thing I bought. Okay, So good old-fashioned Prince Hall. Haven't had one since before he died, so I'm really happy. The other big burning question too is, what album do we deluxe up next, basically? And I think a lot of people are definitely saying that Princess Free and a few others are saying that they should do Parade next. Because Parade is an essential album. It's going to appeal to the casual fans because it's got a big hit single, Kiss, basically. And of course, because it's quite a short album, I mean, it won't be as big a box set. My own personal opinion, I wouldn't mind if they did Parade next. I really love Parade. Parade is a wonderful album. But the one album they should really do next, if they really want to go after that fans, I mean, it's pretty damn obvious, it's Sign of the Times. But if they do Sign of the Times, you know it's going to be absolutely massive. They're probably going to put in the Crystal Ball, Dream Factory, all the unreleased tracks. Then they're going to throw in all the outtakes. Will just be absolutely bloody amazing if they do that. I mean, I'm just basically salivating at the level of songs I'd put on that thing. It would be like 8 or 9 discs. It would just be absolutely bananas. And if there was a vinyl edition, it'd be crazy. Because the other thing I mentioned when I saw it in the shop, and I wished I filmed it when I was in the shop buying all that stuff, was there was a vinyl set of this. And I know I told you in my unboxing video it was $369. Well, I was actually wrong. It's actually $429. And I picked it up just to look at it. I couldn't open it or anything because it was all wrapped up in plastic. It looked like this basically. And it had like the little sheet inside. Except it had like, you know, side 1, side 2 up to side 20. And the cost of it, $450, I picked it up. It weighed a bloody ton basically. It was heavy. You know, you could barely walk around with it. I mean, you need to put it straight in your car. And my guess is that at that price, they'll probably never sell more than 1 or 2, basically. I think realistically, it's probably less than 10 hardcore Prince fans in all of Auckland, you know, who are buying this stuff, and I don't even know him. I know of 2 of them, basically. One guy called, I won't say his name, but he's on the org quite a lot. I know one guy in Dunedin who I consider a good friend of mine, and of course there's Hamish down in Christchurch. I know he collects a lot of this stuff. But realistically, in New Zealand, we just don't have the market for this stuff. But Sign of the Times. But the other thing I really want to talk about as a good box set, and this might not appeal so much to everyone, and will definitely be a niche one, is the Time. Now I want you guys to think about this. If we do a Time box set, the good thing about the Time is the recorded legacy is not that large. Is we could do what I've got an idea for a 5 CD box set. Now if you guys will just work with me here. Okay. It's called the Full Time or the Complete Time, and basically it's 5 discs plus a DVD. I'll tell you what's on them. Because the first 3 Time albums are all just so short and so easily, disc 1 I'd put the time and what time is it on the disc all together. Okay, that would be great, so you could listen. So you've got all the 5 killer jams on one disc basically. So you'd have Get It Up, The Stick, Cool, and The Walk, and 777, 9311. You could listen to all those on one go on one CD, which would be great. Okay, the second disc would be a bit patchier. At the start I put all of Ice Cream Castles on it because that's an 8-track album. I mean, that's a 6-track album, but the song's a bit more beefed out. And then I'd also put on the 2 B-sides, Tricky and Grace, basically. And then, so that would leave 8 songs. And then what I'd do is I'll take the 4 cuts off Graffiti Bridge, basically, The Latest Fashion, Shake, Release It, and Love Machine, and put them on there as well. So then you've got that up to 12 songs. And then disc 3, because it was quite a long album and it's quite an essential album, would be Pandemonium. So I put all the Pandemonium on disc 3. And maybe if there's some room, even put the I will admit there is a piece of knowledge I don't know, but if Jerkat had a B-side that didn't appear on any other album, I'd also put that on as well. Okay, disc 4, that would basically be a mixture of promos and B-sides. So I'd have the original single mixes of Cool, Get It Up, and 777, 9311, and The Walk all on there with the B-sides. But basically, there's only if they were extended versions. I wouldn't do any of this crap here where I've got like a 2-minute version of Delirious. I wouldn't do any of that nonsense. I wouldn't do any mono versions. And then, of course, I'd put on all the stuff from 1989's aborted corporate world projects, the stuff like Donald Trump Black version, Chocolate, Data Bank, all those types of songs. That would be disc 4. And if we were still looking for things to stuff on that disc, I would probably put some Morris Day solo cuts like Fishnet and Oak Tree. Of course, we have to get Morris Day's approval to do that, basically, because I know him and Jesse Johnson recording on different labels. And then possibly even Jesse Johnson's biggest hit song, you know, Please Get Me Some Help, and maybe even Shockadelica. And then the 5th disc would be a live concert, and of course a live concert, it would have to be one of their 1982 Triple Threat Tour gigs. Probably one of the best ones, and one of the ones which lasted 45-50 minutes. So it'd be a short disc, but still, you know, it'd be like the Prince show on this one. And then if we were really cheeky, we might put a live DVD on it. I don't know if there were actually any really good quality tapes of any live Time gigs. And again, like this, if there was a DVD gig, it would have to be a different show to the one on the audio disc. So what do you think of that? The Complete Time It'd be the same size and format. Of course, it'd be like a big illustrated book as well. You know, they could put some quotes and photos in there, and maybe if they were really cheeky, I mean, they could even make like a copy of the photo. You know, it says like, you know, half a million people have found the time, basically. That'd be really cool. So there you are, a time box set. Tell me what you think. Would you buy a time box set? Pretty much, because I think, you know, a lot of people saying, why don't they put the time on this one? Why don't they put the time part of the concert? And people are like, this is a Prince box set, it's not a time box set, but we need a time box set. I mean, box sets are all the rage. I mean, the Time is a band with a very unique musical legacy, and as we all know, their albums now are bloody hard to find. I mean, you have to search through basically all the old second-hand bookshops and stuff. I mean, you might be able to buy the music online, but people who want physical copies of the music, and I mean, it's timeless music, really. I mean, even with the Silent Bob and Double J or whatever his name was, I mean, the band's legacy has just about completely disappeared, and I think we need something to remember this music by. I mean, the good thing about this is they cobble together a lot of obscure and hard to find stuff and put it into one easy box, basically. So there's my solution. What should they do next? Either Sign of the Times or The Time. And finally, anything else that needs to be box set. I mean, I've already mentioned they've done Purple Rain, 1999. Is I think the other albums that should be done, first of all, Dirty Mind and Controversy. But because they're both such short albums and there aren't that many outtakes from either of those ones, we could put those all together on one box set. We could just call it Controversy or Dirty Mind or something like that. And then, of course, Parade must be done, Sign of the Times, Love Sexy. That'd be a great album to do a box set on. And with that, you could throw on all the aborted stuff from the late 1988 Rave album. You know, put in basically a live gig. I mean, definitely put in a Small Club. I mean, that would be amazing to put Small Club on. And also the aborted tracks like The Line, for instance. I mean, I know The Line is really an early version of I Know, but for those of you who've heard it like me, it's an outstanding song. It's got a lot of great soul singing. It's absolutely funky. It's a real foot tapper. And of course, you know, some of the aborted stuff from the Anna Fantastic project, you know. So it's amazing what you could put on. If you want to be really cheeky, you go ahead and time a bit and put Dance with the Devil and Fuchsia Like, Cookie Jar, all those types of songs on it. And then probably I'd also do Around the World in a Day as a box set. I mean, again, that's a meticulous album. I mean, but they would have to be pretty arbitrary in choosing outtakes for that, because there's a lot of outtakes that you can put on either Around the World in a Day or Parade, you know, songs like Others Here With Us and Neon Telephone, stuff like that. You know, it's almost impossible to date it exactly, but Prince was just doing so much stuff in 1985, 86, and even late 84. I mean, imagine if they put a song on it like All Day, All Night, you know, that would just be wow. You know, and of course G-Spot, I know that's the Joel Jones outtake, but there are Prince versions of it. And then possibly I think they could do the Gold Experience. They could turn it into box set, you know, put Days of Wild, all that shit on it. And even for that matter, if they really wanted to get technical and just go over the niche, they could put For You and Prince on as a box set. So there you are. So all of you, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, or whatever religion you are. I mean, have a happy celebration. And I'll probably do one more video this year. It'll probably be after Christmas time. I'm staying here over Christmas time. I'm working, but work gets real easy, so I get lots of time on my hand. And that'll be a sort of like 2019 compilation video like the one I did at 2018. I'll talk about how many videos I've done, which was the biggest hit, which was the biggest flop, some of the stuff I've bought this year, some of the projects I've done this year, and plans I've got for 2020. So there you are. Take care.